Sylvie,
Yeah,
approximately?
yeah, well, this is a target.
The language is in there, that it's a target and
Don't have it in front of me.
Actually, the actual section is entitled Fund Balance Targets. So 15 on the general.
15%.
Yep. That's about it. We're looking at.
This is my personal one.
Okay, it's like email.
Road and highway machinery funds.
What is the next one?
Road and highway.
Road and highway machinery funds, that should really be a percentage of the highway fund, not the general.
So right now, when you say highway fund, do you mean equipment? If it's equipment, we have 66, I just added that earlier. We have 66,000 on equipment line for Jake's department. Just equipment, not repairs or anything like that.
It specifically says road and highway machinery funds combined.
Yeah.
Do we have two line items or just one?
Equipment is only one line item per area, like equipment for sanitation, equipment for rec, equipment for,
It's all broken down.
but the total is, it's, I have that here.
What did we have in the past? What is a fund balance been in the past, prior to this administration coming in?
So this year, we're targeting 900,000, and I'm gonna say 100,000. Last year, we were at 515. The year before was 393, the year before that was 293, which we were extremely low in those 3 years.
So
We're building it back with the increase.
But that's, you're referring to general fund.
Fund balance,
Right, general fund.
general
But
fund balance.
this question, and yes, you're right, the 900,000 in the general fund is good, but we're talking here with road and highway machinery funds. If there's a separate, we have separate lines for those, so we should target a balance, call it what you want, a machinery fund balance. As a
So,
target.
we've never had a fund balance for machinery, it's
Okay.
just a target in the budget,
Okay.
right? And that target number that I gave you before was 66,000, including all the lines that I've highlighted here. I wasn't even prepared for this, I just happened to do it.
Right, but that's, right, that's the budget for 25, 26, right?
Correct. That's a correct statement.
So we did pretty good pulling ourselves out, didn't we?
Right, but yes, the question is,
Is 66,000 enough? I think that should go higher.
but we're talking fund balance, fund balance. So it should be,
66.
that one is 60-something thousand.
66,000 out of the 900 or out of the total fund? That's what I'm asking.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is it the percent of the fund balance or is it the percent of the total general? Which is 5.9 million
No, it should be a percentage
of the,
of the,
I'll give you that percent.
Yeah.
Winging it, guys.
yeah,
That's 7.3%.
Hmm.
So I would say ideally we should be at 10%.
yeah, I would say.
So we're below right now, so we have to build that up as the year goes by.
But we're better than years prior.
We never did it this way years
Right.
prior. It's always just, there was one.
So this is a good way to go.
Right, and
So
because this
is-
is a target,
Yeah.
probably okay with 10%, because it's a target.
One of the things that I would say is, given that this has not been done before,
Mhm.
I would consider this a baseline year.
Yeah.
And the baseline year, what that means for others who might not know or don't, do know, I apologize if I'm being redundant. But a baseline is where you stick your heels in the sand and you figure it out. And then you learn from that, okay, are we close, are we not?
Or do we need to adjust it?
And we need to adjust for the following year, exactly. That's how I would take this process right now.
I'm comfortable that we're on that road.
And
Very good.
the third is debt service fund, which would be,
So, in the past, we've been at,
and that is a function of the overall budget.
so usually, I ask this question,
What?
you know, I asked a question of our financial advisors for the village, is there debt to fund the year, and they said no, but this year, our debt is 1.2. I would say 1.247, so I would say 1.25, just to round it up. And the payments that we have to make this year is 166,500, not including what's on the budget,
Or the garbage truck?
Sorry guys, I wasn't prepared to,
No, that's it.
but I had
No.
filed with them.
So the debt service fund accounts for current payments of principal and interest on general obligation long-term debt and for financial resources accumulated in a reserve for payment of future principal and interest on long-term debt. So what did you say the number was on the debt, Deb?
The overall total debt, not
Yeah.
payment, is
Right.
1.247, 1.2 million and 50,000.
Right, but that's not all due,
No, the only thing that's due right now is total
well, for
balance.
due for 25, 26.
Right,
6 something.
and that number was 166, which is low,
It's low,
because we paid off 3 bonds last year,
right.
so.
Well,
that
let's
helps.
just, let's assume that, the bond issue for the truck is approved, for example, and that's 288,000 over 5 years.
Read
Because
has,
that's, what's that?
Read has that number, hold on.
Well, the bond is,
We got estimates, we didn't commit to anything, this is
No, no.
just, because I had a feeling you guys were gonna ask, we looked it up,
yeah,
we could go for it.
So the interest rate would be somewhere between 3.75 to 4.25, with the median being 4.15. So the estimated starting principal would be 48,000, and then at the end of the 5 years, the estimated principal will be 65,000.
When you think
The last
about,
sentence, I'm sorry.
The estimated ending principal at the 5 years would be 65,000.
right, because we're not just paying interest on that, we're paying down the 288 over the 5 years as well, plus interest. So just in round numbers,
so if you want, just let's say add 290 on top of the 1247, it'll give you an idea of what it is. And then I just pulled up last year's budget, which is sad. Last year, the year before, we were at 1440 total debt, and total payment was 193,500.
so if you take, just in round numbers, you take 288 divided by 5, because it's a 5-year bond, that's 57.6,
Yeah,
plus, let's add 4.2%, just as a laughs.
3 on the column.
That's 60,000.
Yep.
So that one by itself is 60. You said the remaining debt service for the coming year is 100 and what?
166,000.
So 166. 166.
Plus 60 is 220, and the year before we
Plus
were at
60 is-
193.
Right, so 220 against an overall budget of 5 point something is a relatively low percentage for debt service. So let's round up.
Okay, calculator.
I'm using a calculator.
Okay,
So you take 220 divided by 5 million. You're at about 4.4%. So if you do 5% in the first year for this category, I think you're in decent condition based on anticipated debt. The debt service fund target percentage, which is about right, should be about 5% of the budget. You
you're
don't wanna-
taking that off of the full book.
Yeah,
Full.
yeah, the entire budget. So that seems to be a respectable target percentage to start with.
So 1575.
So on the debt service fund. initial target percentage 5, general fund 15, road and highway 10, debt service fund 5. Want to make that motion, Mr. Mayor?
Make a motion?
To accept to insert in the fund balance policy the following figures for target percentages: general fund 15%, road and highway, machinery funds 10%, and debt service fund 5%.
Make a motion, our attorney said? Second?
So I'm gonna make it.
What?
I make the motion.
You made the
I
motion.
make the motion. All
Any
in favor?
discussion?
Any discussion? Good to go?
I thank us for getting this far. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll tell you one thing, the only reason why I say stay quiet on the discussion is this is the first year, so
Yeah,
we're gonna learn from it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Rough road. Pull these things up. Okay. Now, that's out of the way, that's good.
Social
You
media
wanna put those
policy.
numbers in, or you want me to send it to you?
Send it to us, because I don't have that document, I only had a hard copy,
Oh,
so.
I'll forward it.
well, oh, it's something. What? Okay.
I don't have it.
I have it, if you want to forward you the email, it's in there in Word, so you can put in the percentage, or if you want all the.
I think that was a big thing we accomplished, why don't we just take a break? We got 10 minutes left.
Let's look at this. We got the
Social media, okay, we did social media.
Cynthia, can you just tell me what the numbers are, and then I'll put it in?
I have them.
Sorry, I was typing it out.
I guess my question about the social media policy would be, what is the intent? What issue are we trying to address with the policy? I've read it a couple times, but what is the intent behind it?
I'll tell you what the intent is. First of all, I don't do social media, but as village officials, we cannot knock each other on social media. We can't say things. When you say something on your own private page, you are still a government official. I'm not pointing to anybody here. You're always on duty, and you're accountable for that.
So that's the intent of this policy.
The intent is to curb the behavior. Follow the rules.
It's for employees and officials. It applies to everyone in the village.
Does that extend to volunteers that are representing their village as well?
Well, if they're doing something in their volunteer capacity on behalf of the village, yeah.
I agree with that. That's
And I would just suggest that we start giving it out there so people are aware of it ahead of time.
What's that?
Yeah, well, all of
Once it's adopted, it'll
everything
be
has to be-
It'll be in
circulated.
a handbook.
Because I still haven't seen it.
So that was in the model. I have to forward to everybody from that training I just did with the comptroller. It's like, that is the most crucial part of, we can adopt all the policies we want. If we're not distributing them properly and making them clear, then they're useless. So we have to make sure that we do a rollout of everything that we're working on right now. As soon as it's ready to put in a document, we roll it out to everybody.
Well, this is important. This is important. Me, having been a victim of social media and not doing anything back on it, because I refuse to do social media, I don't like it.
And this is really, the crux of it are some of the things that nobody wants to see on social media, stuff on page 4. You want to make sure that everyone's clear on, various content that's not related to village business and things like that.
It should go without saying.
Who would the social media coordinator be?
Common sense.
No,
No,
it's
the
a title.
coordinator for the
We're
village.
talking about a position.
No, the social media coordinator would be someone appointed by the village board.
It's in this document, is why I'm asking.
Yes, so I'm answering your question. Somebody who's appointed by the village board, generally a staff member.
And
Or
who will that be and when will they be appointed? So it's clear.
that will be
for
up to the board, for sure.
Does it
It
have to
says-
be, or would be the mayor?
an employee or agent of the village appointed by the village board to be in charge and execute final decisions. The appointed person could be the mayor, could be a board member, could be an employee, could be anything.
But that's not what.
Certainly not
this
gonna
says.
What?
This says, page 2, number 5, only the village mayor, an appointed village board member, or an appointed village employee to include the social media coordinator shall have permission to create, publish, or comment on behalf of the village. So I would like to be clear who appoints the social media coordinator.
It says on the first page, in social media coordinator, appointed by the village board.
Board, okay.
It's there.
Yeah, I would think that has to be an annual appointment, and it has to be made clear who that person is. There has to be a central hub for everything that we're doing, in
Sure.
order for it to be consistent and make sense. Well, I'm trying to talk loud, so everybody can hear me.
How about we just stay off social media and respect each other?
That's not happening though, which is the reason why.
I don't know, I don't go on social media, so
I'm
don't
sure
even
you're
talk
right.
to me about it. If you don't like it, don't read it, don't go on.
Well, we are talking
Well, do we
about
have
it, like,
to do
so we
anything
have
more,
the
or is this
time
just
to
going
you
on?
Why would it about it, so?
Say what?
Do we need to do anything more
We
with
all
this, or
have.
just go in the document as is if we agree on it? We vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna add the thing about,
I'm
we're gonna add the thing about volunteer.
Okay.
The question
I'm not on
is,
social media,
I
so
think
I am.
anybody that's representing the village in any capacity, whether paid or volunteer or elected, should be beholden to this policy. And the other issue also is, there is a very gray area with social media and government and elected officials, and, I was told at the last training that we went to for
Mhm.
NIAT, right, that's a new acronym, you have to put a disclaimer on it, that this is not a government page, not like, if you're choosing to
if
have.
you're using a page that's not the official village page, that's correct.
Correct.
But if you're talking about village business, you can't, well, you can't do that. You can't go ahead and say on the
No,
private
what
page, but I'm talking
That's
about
in
village
here, right?
business.
What?
You're on duty 24 hours a day, you've got to, you can't say this is my
That's
own
right.
private page, but I'm gonna discuss village business, and I'm gonna knock this person and that person, you can't do that.
So that's in here, right, well, then,
Uh-huh.
there's no private page once you're
Well,
elected?
if you're,
It's not a government page.
I disagree with that, because if you
Yeah.
have a business of your own, right? You could have a private page of your business of your own, and still be a government official.
I'm just asking.
But you
if
can't
that's
talk
in-
about government business here, you
Exactly.
can't knock your fellow
That-
trustees.
That's already covered in here?
if you have a separate trustee page, which is I think what you're talking.
Yes, it is, I'm looking at it.
Well, if you're, it would still be appropriate to observe the policy. On a trustee page, on your personal page, you do what you're gonna do.
Right, that's what we're trying to separate here. We can have a trustee page
You
that
can
is
have a
official,
trustee page,
and government, and there's no.
But it's not managed by the village, like the pages we have, they're not created by the village, they're not
No, they're
pages
not
of the
managed by the
office.
village, but one should still comport themselves to the policy.
Right, I guess my question really is in the fine line between freedom of speech and the etiquette of this policy, so I just want to be very clear on what the
You're an
etiquette
elected
is.
government official.
The policy is,
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying this is, we have to protect you, and you can't always have it both ways.
What is the enforcement process that we're outlining?
How about we just respect each other and don't print bad things about each other on the page?
But
That's
that-
it, that's common
that's a
sense.
subjective
I don't need
statement.
rules and regulations to know how to respect each other. I stay off the damn social media and I don't knock my fellow trustees or fellow citizens. That's it.
What you think is bad and what I think is bad are subjective statements.
I don't think
And
so.
when they don't align, what happens then?
okay, with respect to this policy and the village's page, the village has the right to regulate the content.
Understood?
That's what this is about.
Okay.
So this is just a policy for the village.
And
Not
if
personal.
you look at number 4, and this is all subject to, on page 2, any elected officials choosing to establish and maintain
Yes.
social media profiles should do so using this policy as guidelines for management, but understand that the village does not take ownership of those accounts in any capacity. You can read it yourself, you can read the whole thing.
Okay, all right.
I think it's saying what you both want.
Yeah, so if this is the policy, my only other question would be, what is the enforcement? What happens if someone's not abiding by it?
On the village's site or on someone's person?
On the village's side, because that's
The village's site, then the village has the right to remove content. Especially, then there's a bunch of criteria on page
the 3.
4, number 3 on page 4, where these types of communications will not be permitted on, will be taken down if somebody puts something up on the village's page.
So what pages are the villages, to clarify in here? Which are run by the village and which are personal pages?
The one that's the official Village of Montgomery website, I would imagine,
That's
is
the only, is that the only
the
one?
pages, whatever medium they're on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever they are, those are village owned and controlled.
Yeah, I think we should identify them before adopting the policy, like which ones are referred to. Is there an Instagram, is there a Facebook, is there a TikTok? Is there a, okay,
We used to have,
and the website, yeah.
we used to have Instagram, it was taken down. Not taken down, it just stopped
Because
using it.
Facebook like links to Instagram now.
Well, what had happened was, since inception of the social media pages, the setup was done more like on a personal linkage, where it shouldn't be. And because the Instagram page was on a personal linkage, that no longer was used for almost a year already. Like if you look at the Village of Montgomery I think it's underscore NY on Instagram, the last post was over a year and a half.
And
So,
we're also on YouTube now.
So you have the YouTube page, you have the Facebook page.
Will, is there a way to build in flexibility, because these change names and they change structure and.
it's really a matter of the medium that's owned and operated by the village, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube.
Can we state whatever that is as the policy, whichever one is owned by the village? So that if it changes, we don't have to rewrite the policy.
It's your guys' policy, you state the heck law, as everybody agrees to, or majority. It's fine to specify, or to say that the village media is the following and subject to change as technology changes, that's fine.
Good?
So, I'll make those changes and circulate. And if anybody, after you have a chance to read it through some more, if anybody has some more stuff, send it to me and we'll hopefully get this ready for adoption by the next meeting. Because there's really not that much more to do.
The thing about it though, is if you post, you're always on duty, because speaking of the village structure, you're on duty 24 hours. So you're responsible for what you say. There's no getting out of that.
All right. We're going to go for the meeting?
All right. Adjourn.
No handbook?
Well, it's at 7. You want to do attorney
I'm not
client
discussing it
afterwards.
up in public. We'll do it on the- All right, make motion to end this.
You don't need to, just go ahead.
Let's get it again to the pledge of allegiance. Motion to accept abstract. The 2nd of May. Is the motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Was it total on the abstract? Oh, second for discussion, sorry.
I don't have it in front of me.
You have it still?
The general fund balance,
Yes.
$2,258,255.10.
And the total of the bills.
Total of the bills, $41,599.11.
Need a vote?
Make motion?
I
Second?
seconded it for discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote. Carried. Okay, I want to thank Bill Corrigan for the flags up and down all the streets here. The veteran flags. He's incredible. He's really incredible on that. Joanne Corrigan getting the flags out there. We have a beautiful, beautiful display here. Can't say enough on it. It's just great. And Billy always puts the flags in the same spot. He always puts my father and father-in-law together, and he remembers who goes where. And he's really going to miss this guy when he retires. We really are. He's unbelievable. And his wife, she does the flags. No, to do this is all volunteer. Well, he works, but he's still. I've seen him out there in his own personal time doing stuff. So thank you for doing that. I want to discuss the sewage treatment plant here. I didn't know this was going to become a personal attack on me. I didn't attack anybody on this, but I'd like to address the controversy surrounding this proposed consolidation of the town and village plans. I didn't think this was going to be a personal thing here. I was questioned, I was attacked by my lack of experience or education, having not been on the Water and Sewer Committee for the Village of Montgomery during my tenure as a trustee here. I didn't know there was one. I'm sorry. But shame on me. I wasn't included. I do want to say, though, that my lack of education in this field led me to the decision to not vote to have Railroad Avenue go to residential, to keep it industrial, and not put extra houses on Factory Street. Because 2 years ago, I said our number one concern in this village was going to be water. And it is. We have a moratorium now. This was highlighted in the front page of the Walkill Valley Times, quoted me. Amazing, less than 2 years later, the number one concern is the water. We have a moratorium. I was the only one who voted against these developments. Pretty good when you apply common sense as opposed to studies. As far as the sewer plant proposal, again, I'm against it for the last couple of days, especially last night. And then tonight, I rode my bicycle down here during the baseball games.
Is there a sewer plant proposal? Am I missing something? Is there a sewer plant proposal?
Yeah, the $7,500.
No,
That's a feasibility.
All right, I'm discussing the sewer plant. In the paper.
Is there an action item
Thank
that we're
you.
taking here tonight on this? Is there an action item that we're taking on this?
No, I'm speaking my time. Okay? I rode my bicycle down to the baseball field near the sewer plant, and all you could smell was raw sewage. It was rising up to the plant to the baseball field, and all the way back to the turtle on the walking path by the Little League game, while the Little League game was playing. The wind was blowing northwest at 14 miles an hour, the gust up to 26. How do you think it's going to smell when you double that size? Like I mentioned before, the village will need an upgrade. It needed one in 2006. Nothing has changed. Right now, the village sewer system can handle everything that comes its way. My proposal is to keep the village system running the way it is, and in the event that building starts happening, we start looking into upgrade the sewer plant. Remember, we have no violations down there at all, contrary to rumors. A proposal by a Department of Public Works superintendent here is we should have a $20 attachment to the water bill twice a year, so we can have a little bit of a kitty when it comes time to build one. If this plant is started right now, it will expire that much earlier in the future. There is no hurry here, folks. This is a scare tactic. The town has a time limit here. Their plant on County Route 99, Neely Town Road, is dead. It does not work. Sewage has to be pumped out of there. It's not processed there. This is wrong in every sense. The town needs to build its own gravity-fed sewer plant on vacant town property down towards the Walkill River, out of the way from residential housing. And while we're at it, take some of our sewage from the corner of Goodwill Road and 17K where there's a pump and let that gravity feed into the plant. Forget about the grants. If you do your research, you see Suffolk County is having a problem with getting any kind of grants. It's not happening. It's all a dream. We're going to have to float our own bond to do this, and we're going to do it right. As far as the village of Montgomery, sit back, don't rush into anything. Operators are not standing by. You're not gonna get a free set of Ginsu knives if you don't call within the next 15 minutes. I'm actually making work for myself here. I could look the other way, as it does not affect my neighborhood. I'm not gonna smell it, but it's wrong, wrong, wrong. Just like the Weaver Street development. Take a stance, stop it now. Stop paying for studies and use your common sense. People depend on their elected officials to look out for them, and damn it, that's what I'm gonna do. All of a sudden, stuff happens, and we like, how did that get approved? You know, think that? Look up at ShopRite. Who in this room knew that that mess was gonna happen up there? That whole thing was gonna happen? We didn't, it just started. Let's not rush into anything here. Failure to plan on their end does not constitute an emergency on ours. And I'm not personally attacking anybody, but I'm elected to represent the village of Montgomery. And it seems like if you go against somebody, they're mad at you. So that's what I have on that. And I have my other things. Now you might say, why am I doing this? You guys get this over the end. I go at the front.
But that's not old business. Old business is items that need to be addressed, that have actionable items for the board.
Thank you. I'll tell you that. You'll get to go too. All right, I'd like to say.
Thanks for telling me when I can talk. I love when you do that.
Well, I'm talking. I'd like to thank Brian Griffenberg for letting us unload the caboose at the lumberyard and letting us use the spot for the arrival of Santa and his elf and the Christmas time. Congratulations to Kevin Pinero, the Grand Marshal this year of General Montgomery Day. Our village historian's criminal background check came back. He was clear. Tracy Casey and Lori Dow, pet adoption, that was fantastic. You got 3 at the scene and many applications, right? Thank you. That was very well done. The Little League Parade, nice turnout. Very nice turnout. I thank resident Rob Salvin, who conducted a drone flyover, filming the parade and for the fire department and the Little League. Congratulations to the Pekowski family and Woodbridge Inn for being honored in Albany by Assemblyman Brian Marr for their 20 years of service to this community. Memorial Day flags at Goodwill and Roosevelt will be handed out on Memorial Day to educate the public. And please, don't say Happy Memorial Day. I know people say that, but it's not a happy day. It's Respect Day. We had a juvenile incident with BB guns. The police department advised me. They took care of it immediately, and restitution is being paid for any damage done. Congratulations to the Cub Scouts. I was there when they moved up in the ranks the other day. We were a scouting family, and I congratulate my grandson, Mason Donovan, who moved up to being a wolf. Congratulations to our longtime Copperfields owner and friend, Paul Sikowski. Good luck in your retirement, and I'm glad we had one of the last dinners with him. Congratulations to the Byam family, Stephanie and Dan, their first grandchild, Violet, was born. And I walked in the other day, because I'm always in Village Hall, I walked in the other day and there was a KSH meeting going on. And I paid attention to a little bit and I'm like, wait a second, how much is this costing us? Because I'm not spending money on studies, I'm not doing that anymore. So I talked to Amy Frisbee, what's going on? Bottom line is, we aren't paying for these meetings anymore. They're paying for them. They're paying everything. Their attorney was like, blew me off like, yeah, the village should be paying for this, but we're paying for it. No. They're gonna pay for it. We're not doing studies, we're not doing anything here. They will pay for this. I am not blowing taxpayer dollar on this. And that's it. So let's move on. I made a decision here, and about 8 months ago, and I knew I was going to get flack for it. But I'll tell you, it was a damn good decision. I hired Bree Murphy as the deputy clerk in this village, and she's the deputy mayor's daughter. It's her daughter, okay? She interviewed well, and damn it, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because this girl hit the ground running. And I'm going to make her the clerk. I'm going to make her the clerk when Tina Murphy resigns. And I'm sad about Tina Murphy resigning because she's a good person. And I'm actively looking for a deputy clerk. I've had the doors open longer than I needed to because I want to get the best. I don't care if you like me, if you voted for me, I don't care. I appointed 2 members back on boards in this village who don't really like me, but I knew they were doing a good job, so they got their positions back. Because you know what, years from now, I'm gonna be able to go down to Village Hall and know it's running efficiently. So personalities mean nothing here. So, I've got a group of applications that I'll be interviewing these people. And I know how to interview, because I've sat on hiring boards several times, and I've also been a hiring manager. So I will promise you, I will get the best. So, Bree Murphy, you will be the clerk when Tina resigns. All right,
You
you,
have to accept her resignation, we did not do that last.
okay, I'm sorry, I missed it. All right. You got me. All right.
Wasn't have got you, I'm just saying you didn't do it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And
Is
we're
there a
talking
copy of the
about it now.
resignation letter that can be
Yes.
scanned and sent out to all of us?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. So accept Bree's resignation as the deputy clerk on June 2nd, appoint Bree as the clerk effective on June 2nd. So Bree's resignation as the deputy clerk on June 2nd. Unfortunately, Tina will be going on, and appoint Bree as the clerk on June 2nd. Make a motion?
You
I don't know what I got.
only need the motion for the resignation.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Make a
tonight,
motion
just-
for the resignation?
Just take the resignation of,
Just the
Make
resignation.
a
Tina
motion for
tonight.
resignation?
for Tina.
resigned the last meeting.
Mm.
Her resignation is already accepted.
Okay,
All
then
right.
that's,
Make a motion.
then I would wait,
We didn't take her application.
You read it.
He read a
yeah,
letter
just,
to us,
For
and
tonight.
it wasn't, we weren't given copies of the letter.
right, just for tonight, just.
But her resignation is dated June 30th. Do we
No,
have-
it's
no.
May 30th.
I mean, May 30th, sorry, we don't have another meeting prior to that, so do we have to accept it?
I thought we accepted it last meeting.
I don't
Whatever
remember,
we gotta do, I'll do it the right way. I'm
just
like,
accept, for tonight, just accept Tina's resignation as of May 30th and leave everything else.
Okay. But that's my intent. Move on.
I will make a motion to
Motion.
accept Tina Murphy's resignation dated May 30th with regrets, with the stipulation that we receive the resignation letter to see as we do all the other resignation letters.
Need a second?
Second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed?
Oh, you only said aye, so
You
let's,
you can't.
what, for Tina? Yes, I
Tina,
can.
yeah, okay. All right. Okay. Moving
Did
on.
everybody else vote?
Yes.
I said aye, did you, yes?
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, carried. Adopt a resolution authorizing the issue of a bond for the acquisition of a garbage truck. Okay, now,
I'd like to table that to the next meeting, please. I only received this documentation tonight, and as I've stated before, I'm not voting on anything that I received. I have no communication from this board on that. I knew nothing about the garbage truck. No financials were given to me ahead of time, please.
well, when do you get it?
I didn't get it out.
I received nothing about
I got it.
financials about the
I got
garbage
it
truck. I
today.
received this
I got it
document
today. I
10
got it
minutes
today,
before the
yeah.
meeting.
Well, I got it today too.
Great. Well, I'd like time to review it.
All right,
Can you please table it till next meeting?
all right, we'll come to that.
Thank you.
On this thing here, on the garbage truck here, this, we'll vote on it in the future, but, what I did here is, this is one of these things, the garbage truck was there, we just spent $18,000 fixing a thing that's on its last legs. So this is one of these deals that if we signed, well, I can't sign on my own, but if I reserve it, I can get this at a good deal with an 8-year warranty. So I said, hold it. Now, we could always give it back, but I held it. I made a command decision, I held it. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But they put our name on it. So it's like reserving a table in the store. If you don't show up, you don't show up, or in a restaurant. So that's the thing I'm saying, we're gonna have to move on this thing.
What's the organization that we went through that for? Is this the state, is it?
I believe it's under state contract, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
We have to put this out for state bid. We don't.
No, as long as we go under state contract.
That's what I've been thinking.
Yeah.
nobody here
The
is
other
trying.
thing, can I add something to this, because Tina's not here?
I'm sorry.
Can I add a little bit of additional commentary?
Yeah, let me just make a comment here real quick. Nobody's trying to hide anything from anybody, because you didn't get the paperwork, I just got it myself. So I'm in the village hall every day and I hear this stuff, so I apologize for you not getting right away. Bree's chasing the tail, she's by herself, so nobody is intentionally doing this. Why would we do that? Why would I wanna do that? But I grabbed this thing Some other municipality will get it if we don't get it. I just thought it was a good year, and the warranty plus the low interest rate was.
So, I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't hear you, what was the interest rate?
A
We
low
don't, we don't know yet.
Hold on.
It was a low interest
Let
rate.
me just explain the process of bonds too, that you gotta help them move if you can chime in. Can you guys give me the back?
No.
Sorry. Okay. In terms of the process, what happens is, you go to the bond council. The bond council asks, how much is the bill of sale meaning like the tentative expense, which is $288,000, give or take a few $100 more, not thousands, a few hundred. And then what happens, you go to the bond council and you say, okay, we're interested in coming out with a bond. So that's something the team is managing, she's just not here to explain this. And then after they do that, you guys have to have a resolution to go to the next step, which is, now let's price it out, let's see what can we get, but nothing goes through until we get that information. But for us to get to the next step, we just need a resolution, and Bill, Will, if you could confirm I'm correct on this, that'll help. If I'm not, then say so. With regards to the resolution tonight is for us to go forward to the next step, which is speak to the bond council, find out how much we can get it for, speak to the financial advisor, which is, which almost Selina's group, and then from there, then we come back again on the next meeting, and then from there, you guys will vote yea or nay.
He's done the research on this, right?
That's not what it says.
Well, you pass the resolution, and then a notice of estoppel is published. Okay, and the notice of estoppel is a period of time where somebody can potentially object to the bond issue. But it is an approval of intent, okay, to go out and bond for this. So you are committing to, you do have to go through other steps. You have to go to financial advisors and then shop the bond and see where we get the best rate. But yeah, this is committing to doing the financing.
Thank you for the clarity, that's the question we have.
Yes. No, this commits to it, but there is an estoppel period. A notice has to be published. Whatever date this is adopted, then there's an estoppel period that has to be published before we can go forward and finalize the process.
Again, I want to explain, there's transparency here. I mean, I can't tell you just to go to Village Hall. I go to Village Hall and stay on top of things. If you got this today, I'm sorry.
It just came through one.
Okay.
It just
Okay,
come
but there is
through.
no.
Yeah, it just showed up.
Mayor,
Yes,
so-
would you be objected if we asked Jake some questions?
No.
So what, you've been shopping this for a while, correct?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna start speccing out garbage trucks. If I was to order a garbage truck right now, it's probably anywhere from 3 to 4 years before we can get one. This guy knew I was looking for one. I believe somebody else already ordered this truck and then they backed out of it.
So the
So
status of our.
it kind of fell into our lap.
The status of our current one, the one we just spent 18,000 on, is
It's-
that lasting 3 years? Honestly,
I hope
just
so.
Your judge.
I hope so.
Okay, so do you find this?
I'm more worried about the other one.
Do you find this an emergent situation? I'm just
I
asking.
hate to
I'm
say
asking for your
I
gut.
hate to say emergency,
Critical?
but definitely critical.
Okay.
Because if the training goes in the other one, now you're talking, like I said, we put $18,000 in a truck that's not worth it, but we didn't have a choice.
And what you sold me on was the warranty.
Yeah,
We need to, that's fast. So,
Table it till next meeting. That's all.
is that quick enough?
yes. I believe he said July for the 8-year,
Okay.
warranty.
I was just gonna ask if there's a special meeting if you
No,
thought
that's
it
a good
was.
idea. We got till July.
Okay, just, we have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He said he'll hold it.
And on this, just for the board's information, you need a supermajority. You need 4 yeses on this bond issue.
Okay. Wow, got one turn there. Pretty cool.
Adopt a resolution to raise the water and sewer rates, $5.45 for water per 1,000 gallons, and over 50,000 gallons, 6.15, 8.05 for sewer per household,
Per thousand.
per 1,000, I'm sorry. Make a motion. Yeah, I talked to Jake about this too, just real quick, we're still lower than everybody, aren't we?
Yes.
We're still lower than the other municipalities.
Yes, quite a bit.
I was able to research that with the weekend too, I agree.
Did somebody second this?
I didn't
Someone made it, make a motion.
Well, you did, you made a motion.
make a motion,
Trustee
second,
Imbriani just seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Did we have to make a motion to table the bond? Or did we just?
There was no,
No motion
there was
needed?
no motion made, so it's fine. Just, it'll be on the next, hopefully the next agenda.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Okay. Next up, I had the pleasure of meeting this young man, he's a scout. Like I said, we're a scouting family, so he got my heart right there. Frank Meyer, he wants to address the board and present his Eagle Scout project he would like to do for the village.
I have a
I
copy.
apologize, I should have mentioned.
Mike there.
I should have let you go first, I didn't realize it. The scouting goes before everybody.
Yeah, I have some copies of what we say if you guys want.
Thank you.
It's easier to follow along sometimes this way.
Would anybody like a copy? I do have some copies for the general public. It's always easier sometimes to follow along.
If I can turn it on. Should we switch there?
There you go.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak tonight. Although I've met many of you already, I'd like to formally introduce myself to those I haven't met yet. My name is Frank Meyer, and I'm a lifelong resident of the village of Montgomery. I'm currently a junior at Valley Central High School. I am involved in several activities in and outside of school. One of the activities I take most pride in is being a member of one of our local Boy Scout troops. I'm currently the senior patrol leader of Troop 386 out of Brick Church. I've been involved in both Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts for 10 years now. I've achieved the rank of Life Scout. My next step is to become Eagle Scout. I would like to present to you all an Eagle Scout project that I have been thinking about doing for several years that will benefit the village's strong heritage, history, and sense of community. The reason many of us live in the village is because of the closeness, camaraderie, and walkability that it offers us. Ever since I was little, I've walked throughout the village regularly with my family, and we've often stopped and admired the architecture and history along the way. As I've gotten older, I've developed a strong interest in history. Combining both history and walking for all to enjoy is what I envision. I propose creating a historical walking tour throughout the village of Montgomery. With all the rich history in our village, there could be numerous points along the tour. I envision at least 10 to 12 stops along the way, and perhaps more, where historical markers will be placed in front of important village landmarks. I would like the tour to go throughout the entire village, not just the downtown area where Union Street and Clinton Streets intersect. While the tour may begin in front of the village hall, I would like to extend it, if possible, into the village's various neighborhoods. One of the reasons I want the tour to go throughout the entire village is because there is plenty of history outside the core of downtown. There is the Montgomery Elementary School, 2 cemeteries, and the village of Walco River Art School, to name a few. It will be a chance to connect our village's different neighborhoods by giving residents and visitors a reason to walk and appreciate our town. While it would be preferred to have sidewalks in front of all stops, I realize that it might not be possible. The logistics of the tour itself and the layout might be my biggest challenge. For example, it would be great to include the Walkville River Art School building, which has a sidewalk that leads to it. However, would it be practical to also include the Montgomery Mill where City Winery is open? In addition to being able to take a historical tour of the village, one can on a daily basis take a measured walk, because I plan on including mileage, distance markers, numbers at each of the signs. Currently, there are no measured walking trails within the village, and this could be our first one. Depending on how long the tour ends up being, residents can exercise on a 1, 2, or 3 mile walk. Out and back, it could end up being 4 to 5 miles. I plan on creating a brochure that will map out the entire tour. These brochures can be available on Village Hall at the beginning of the tour or in various local villages, local businesses that may or may not sponsor my project, may or may not sponsor my project. Once the brochure is completed, the tour will mostly be self-guided. However, throughout the year, interested village residents can lead the tour, whether it be monthly or special occasions such as Down Montgomery Day or when Santa comes to the village. It will be an enjoyable way for village residents to engage with each other in our history. I plan on fundraising to pay for this project. I hope to get the cost of the posts donated by either local yard or home improvement stores such as Lowe's and Home Depot. These stores have programs for such projects. Each post will have an informational sign attached to it. I have attached some examples of the signs I would like to use. I hope to get local businesses, small and large, to sponsor a sign. And therefore, if they donate the cost of the sign, it would be a long-lasting advertisement for them. Once the location of the signs are determined, postal diggers will be used to place each sign marker in place. This is the aspect which I would like to respectfully ask assistance from the village DPW. If this is not possible, I would contact a few of our local contractors. I look forward to using the village's museum to research for the information that will go on each sign. The previous village historian, Brian Fitzpatrick, has been very enthusiastic about the idea and has encouraged me to move forward with my plan. I look forward to working with our new village historian. I think my Eagle Scout project proposal will be a wonderful asset to the village. Residents and visitors can become familiar with our village's history while getting a little exercise along the way. One final note. I'm familiar with the signs that have been proposed by the New York Forward project. The markers / posts that I'm proposing as a part of my project are entirely different. Those signs are wayfinder signs, which direct people where to go. My markers / posts will be much less intrusive and are referred to as interpretive story walk signs. Remember, this is a historical walking tour that will get people out, give people a reason to visit, and most importantly, encourage future generations to buy a home in our village. Thank you for
You guys got together with Mark Evans?
We have talked to him.
Okay, good, okay. And then we left it off with how the sign was going to be designed. Good, thank you, I'm very proud of you.
Great idea.
So the board needs to
Make a motion.
approve it.
Make a motion.
Can I ask a question?
Are they're gonna be metal, the posts?
Well, there's some options that are metal, wood, that we have to figure out.
Okay.
This is great. How much do you think you're gonna need to raise?
Well, we were doing research, and it's about $200 to $300 per sign. So, maybe a couple $1,000.
Get the post donated, you figure?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And part of his proposal, which I think would be most beneficial, is to have them work with the DPW rather than finding private contractors. This way, Jake, you could be involved in it and not only help out, but be in the best position to make a judgment on the best spots to put these, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely work with you.
Yeah. So I think, what else, does the board have any questions?
I have a question, Jake. What is the reality of reincorporating the exercise equipment? Do you finally get rid of that? If it's still sitting, is it usable?
I'm sure it ain't usable. It's been just sitting back there for so long.
Do we need a motion?
Well, I have a question.
So, yeah.
Do you have to get council approval still to move forward with it? Or are these the steps you need from our board in order to get approval from the council for your,
We wanted to make sure
Eagle
that
Scout.
the board approved it before we appeared in front of the Eagle Scout board. So we still have to approve it.
so we can approve it with good faith that if the council approves it, or if the council doesn't approve it, then we won't go ahead.
Is there, I have one more question, is there anything that precludes us from assisting in this project with, monies that are dedicated to the park with New York Forward, so that it's in keeping with the theme and the signage and the wayfinding to assist in this project?
Well, that's how I send up the Mark Devon, and that was supposed to all be figured out, and you guys were doing.
But nothing would preclude us from doing that if
If you want to be clear.
Possibly. We have to look at it, but possibly. So,
What did you ask, I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
If he had his council's approval, because I know with Girl Scouts, you had to put everything before the council to get their approval before you could move forward with it. So that's my question, but he answered it.
Yeah, no,
We don't see that as a problem.
Well, if there's anything you need from us, also from the council, if there's a letter that you need from the board to let them know that you have our backing, please let us know, we'd be happy to help that. I know it's a very tedious process, and I had help doing it through COVID, so, anything you need.
what I was gonna suggest is the motion that the board can make is to, number one, approve of 3 prongs to this. Number one, endorse the project. Number 2, confirm that if the project is approved by the Boy Scout Council, that our DPW be involved in the project with Frank. And number 3, part of the motion would be to recommend and endorse the project to the council and let them know that the village fully supports it. So I think those would be the 3 prongs of some motion that one of you folks may want to make.
have you done this before? No, municipality? Yeah. Okay, because I'm just listening to you.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great,
Good, thank you, Will. Okay.
this is a great presentation.
Yeah, right, no, you're educating me on this, I didn't know.
So that might be a suggestion to the motion.
Can you repeat all that, what you put the motion on the second?
What?
Repeat what you said.
I'll do it.
Cynthia does it.
I'd like to make a motion that we, as a board, fully back this Boy Scout project,
Approved.
approve Boy Scout project, but also engage the DPW for any needs further on this project. And third,
To recommend and endorse to the Boy Scout Council that this project has the full support of the village board of trustees, and we recommend that they approve it as soon as possible.
whether in writing or
Or we can send them a copy of the minutes, whatever. Or if they need a letter, whatever, the board can help you.
that's my motion.
Good. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Something like this cannot be done without a good parent, so let's have a.
Who's the study?
Okay,
Just a number.
Well, Sam is also one of the senior patrol members, so these are the older boys in our troop. And Sam is also going through a similar process, so he wanted to support tonight. And because Sam is also moving along with his project as well, the council definitely always does want the governing body to approve, because obviously if they approve it, we don't, that doesn't mesh. So this was definitely Frank's first stop.
Great. Good job.
okay, moving right along, consider allowing the residents at Lakeside to have a block party June 14th. The whole Angelo?
Yeah.
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 That's cool. What do we have to do anything on that? I mean,
They filled out the necessary.
Bob, are we doing something like that when we close the street off? Is there anything we have to do? For the fire department or anything?
Just notify them, I would say.
Just notify you guys?
I'm not representing the fire department, but
No,
I
I'm
would
just,
tell you,
I need
I
your
would
advice.
tell you that you would have to notify them that the road is gonna be shut down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good, we'll do that, we'll notify them on that. Make a motion to do that?
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carrie, Darlene, you take over from here, conflict of interest?
Oh, okay. Appoint medical staff and counselors for the summer rec program. Okay. We have Yamilet Ruiz, health supervisor, RN, Megan Charette, RN, and Isabel Scotto, ENT. That's the medical staff. Counselors, Natalie Betacasa, Carlo Colorelli, Marco Colorelli, Audrey Conklin, Isabella Cruz, Mae Dubin, Marley Dubin, Taylor Froelich, Camille Lopez, Jordan Marasco, Ashley Miller, Caitlin Miller, Allie Nolan, Leah Restivo, Michaela Stack, Sean Watson, and Julia Watson. And salaries are to be determined after June 6th. Can I get a motion to hire those counselors?
I'll make a motion, I have a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carried.
One abstention.
Thank you. Yep.
Can we have this scanned and
I think we
sent
did,
out?
I did
Because
that
you said
already.
we're not doing it until June.
Huh? Did we,
Great, can you send this out to everybody so we see it?
did we,
Yeah, we'll take a copy of it.
Thank you.
they did the director and,
They were already appointed,
thank you, that's what we did it last
their
time.
annual appointments.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, the upcoming, events, Memorial Day flag placement will be Thursday, May 22nd, 2025 at St. Mary's Cemetery from 6 to 7. A reminder that the Memorial Day Parade will be on Monday, May 26th, with a step off at 11 a.m. at the corners of Walkville Avenue and Clinton Street. So you want to go first and talk? Board, please. Steve? Randy?
I did speak with, I've been working on looking at the conditions of the roads and advocating to make sure that we're getting as much attention and funding as possible. I did post already about, there was some additional CHIPS funding and stuff like that. So I do want to talk to you about that and what that means at a local level and what we can do, because I know there's no planned paving going on this year, but if there's additional monies, great. And then when we did discuss it last time, I don't remember if it was on the record or not, we discussed that people can take a picture and send it to you, or if they send it to one of the trustees, we can send it to you if there's a real big issue that needs to be addressed and patched. But I did speak with Senator Rawlson yesterday morning at length about a plan and followed it up with an email. So we're going to set a meeting for him to come here in June, the latter part of June, to come do a walkthrough of the roads and really start to advocate pretty heavily for attention for especially the 211 section that goes through the village. So I'm trying, I'll keep you updated, and that coupled with going out to bid for the comprehensive traffic study. Sorry, that escaped me. So things are happening. It's not at the rate we would like them to happen, but I know it's an issue. I know everybody's been unified in their aggravation with the state of the roads and the truck traffic. So things are happening, albeit slowly. So I'll keep you updated on that. I do have a lot of comments about your opinion piece at the beginning of the meeting, but I think we can probably handle that in attorney-client privilege. And the other thing I wanted to address was the handbook, but you said we're not going to discuss that in person either, in public.
Well, I'll do that when it's finished.
Well, we've had multiple drafts out since August of 2023.
Yeah, that's the first time.
So those yes, it's been done, distributed in multiple forms, and it needs to be approved. And I've been, and I actually, if this is what you want to do, I mentioned it in March of 2023 to the former clerk, We've reviewed multiple other municipalities. We began review in June of 2023. I met with the attorney in August of 2023. We emailed a draft to the board in 2023 for comment, and I've asked for it to be addressed every single month on my report. And I've also emailed specifically about it 124, 324, 524, 724, 924, 125, 225, 325, and sent to the newer trustees beginning of April for their review in 2025. And I also requested for it to be on the agenda and to be dispersed along with all the policies that we have to adopt or have approved on 512 and 514. So what is the holdup?
I don't know, it was your assignment, for 2 years
It's
you've been
done.
doing it.
Is it not done?
It's,
For 2 years, you've had this assignment.
you saw my email this afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't we talk about this in attorney-client after we're done here, because I don't want to do this right now. It's not appropriate.
Okay.
I'm fine to do it after we're done with the regular business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, request to meet with the board, Mr. Berger?
Wait, I'm gonna step out.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
I'm
ahead,
gonna
I
step
cut
out.
you off.
I'm gonna step out for Mr. Burgess. It's okay?
What?
I'm gonna step out for Mr. Burgess' comments.
Okay.
Somebody will just
Is
come get me, please.
Mr. Wilbert's not here? On my thing, Mr. Wilbert's.
Please step
Yeah, what
out.
happened?
Sick, remember?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
I have to.
All right.
Would you get me one?
Mr. Berger, please take the name and address.
Evening, Don Berger, Borders Edge. I'll start off with the deputy clerk. I just feel that it doesn't really matter to me how you go about it. I would have thought that since there's a resignation going to be effective for a deputy clerk, we would have put it out to the public and got the best possible interviews for everyone before you go and appoint somebody. I think it's only advantageous to this village that you seek the best qualified person. I'm not saying anybody's not qualified or is qualified, but you should have put it out there as a clerk to the public and get the best possible and interview the best possible person. You didn't do that. That's a shame.
I have the best person.
You didn't put it out. That's the point. You should put it out there to the public. You know, and then interview people. That's the fair thing to do. But you don't do things fairly around here.
Really?
Really.
Move on.
Don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do.
I didn't tell you what to do.
You just told me I don't do things fairly.
I wasn't telling you what to do.
You've got 3 minutes, let's go, please.
English. The public comment. Today exemplifies why we need public comment. And I don't know why this board doesn't want to discuss having the conversation about bringing back public comment. I asked it last meeting, you guys blew me off, all of you. And I'm asking to do it again tonight. The point of public comment is today you made many statements and you always open up a meeting with your statements. And some of those statements that you say, Mike, are rude, condescending, but this public has to sit here and listen to it. They're not able to give their opinion on things, right? And I think that that's extremely important, that residents are able to give their input on what's on this agenda, and you're not allowing that. And I think it's really necessary that you do. And I think the decorum that you yourself said during this whole process of this type of public comment that you have now, that if it gets better, we'll consider it. It has been better, much better for the past 2 or 3 months, I would say at least. So I'm asking this board to discuss it. Nothing hurts with a discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, in reference to that, I want to protect the new board members from getting ridiculed and going through what I went through for last year. If they want to go ahead and do the 3-minute comment, they can go ahead and do it. But I don't want to see them have to face what I got to face for a whole year. So if they want to go ahead and get the 3-minute comments, they're going to get the same thing I did too. That's why I have an organized agenda. So they don't have people coming up and yelling at them and screaming. That's why I did that. And you were guilty of that too. You were the one who fired up everything, and this is why I had this on this way.
I told Ms.
All right,
Engel
then you had something
that she
else.
was correct by saying that, and I admit to that. So let's not
That's
dwell
why
on the
I had
past.
it this way.
Let's not dwell on the past and jump to the future.
Your past behavior is an indication of your future behavior. That's why I did this way.
I would like to make a
Please,
motion to
please.
formally add a discussion about adding public comment and what that looks like to the agenda at the next meeting. If
You
anybody
can do it
would like
right
to
now if
second.
you want the 3 minutes.
Another delay.
Second,
I said,
okay. So that's a call for a vote.
I'm sorry, what question?
I have no idea what
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
So let them through 3 minutes afterwards.
I made a motion to have a discussion about adding public comment and what that would look like as a discussion on the next agenda.
Second.
You did.
what would it look like? That's
All
what
in favor?
Call for
Okay,
vote.
we just say the discussion.
Great.
Okay? And when it goes up, it hurts. When they go attack you, it hurts. That's what I'm trying to avoid. When they attack you, when they come at you, when they go right in your face, when they act like this, like it did the last year, you're not gonna like it. So all I'm trying to do is avoid that happening. That's all. If you want it that way, there you go.
I just don't want to silence your voice because I'm afraid of getting my feelings hurt.
That's not,
It's not,
that's,
that's part of
that's,
the job.
that's not.
Open it for discussion.
We'll open it for discussion.
Take a vote. Right there.
Take the vote.
Take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So it'll be on the next agenda.
Okay. Stacy Hillman, state your name and address for the record, please.
East Searsville Road, Montgomery. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things about the sewer plan again. But first, I just want to say, Cindy, I sit on a board as well. I appreciate the fact that you want to be educated before you make a vote. Thank you for that. I wish you had done that at your first meeting before you just jumped at voting on $7,500 being spent without any knowledge of anything. So that, just remember what you said and please stick to it. Speaking of that, Stephen, last week you mentioned that there was some growth, 500 to 700 homes. I spoke with the building department. That's not true. Actually, it's not true at all. Besides the moratorium, there's very few, even if that was lifted, there's very few lots in this village that can be built on. The only way they can be built on is to be subdivided, and that's pretty tough to do here. So, the feasibility study. I foiled the last one. Yes, it was done years ago. It's very, very detailed. Feasibility is what's feasible, right? We wanted to know what was feasible for our village. The town wants to know what's feasible for them to merge with us. That's what that feasibility study's about. We don't need them. We certainly should have paid for it. If I walked in any one of your houses, would you give me your household money to take your neighbor's kid to Disney? I don't think so, okay? So the feasibility study was crystal clear. I have a copy here if you want to see it. Very, very detailed. And it stated, including the Vista Moore and the Village at Goodwill, we have more than enough at 750. And not much more can be built than that. In fact, the agreement with the Village of Goodwill and the Village of Montgomery, number 5 states right here, the village represents that the sewer treatment plant has sufficient capacity to treat the project sewage, and the village's agreement to receive and treat the project sewage is not dependent on an expansion of the treatment capacity. Okay, so I don't know who you guys are listening to, but as village delegates, you were elected to protect the village. It's not a popularity contest. It's not who can do what for anybody. It's about the village. And I heard you introduce yourself, and you all said that you cared about the village. There's not one thing we gain by having the town sewage come here. I went to the town's plant. I didn't know that the town didn't have a plant or that they only had one. How many people know that? There's one plant in the town. It's 150,000 gallons. Ours is 500. We need 750. Theirs stinks before you even get to it. With no breeze, no wind, no direction, it reeks. You know why it reeks? Because it's at capacity. The town is very large. It has lots of acreage and 3 villages that self-support their own sewer. I'm telling you right now, if you allow the town to run all their sewage through 2 villages, It is going to be at capacity, and ours is gonna smell. And ours borders our parks and our baseball fields, so it's not gonna work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob Salvin, state your name and address for the record, please.
Before I start, Mr. Meyer, right?
Here's my business card. You get approved, my company will give you $1,000. So the reference, and you'll put your name on every side. Okay, feasibility study first. Robert Saladin, One Pine Court. In order to do a feasibility study, you have to first agree in concept that you are willing to accept a merged sewer system, otherwise you don't do the feasibility study. With that in mind, Trustee Noakland, you support the feasibility study for the shared sewer plant with the town. What metrics will you need to be looking for to decide to support a shared plant?
This is public comment, Mr. Saladin. It's not a question answer in making trustees or the mayor or anybody receptive. It's not, it's public comment. Okay. It is not question. If you have comments, please give them to the board.
Okay, so my comment's a question you don't have to answer. Mr. Imbriani, the same question for you. Could I ask a budget question?
Yes, whatever question.
Okay. Trustee Noakland, you have now been involved with the deliberations and passage of village budget. I attended the public meeting where the budget was discussed line by line. I didn't hear any mention or discussion of any lines that describe the paying of delinquent or overdue debts and liabilities held by the village. Were there or are there any delinquent debts or liabilities that you are aware of?
Again, this is not a question answer
Okay,
back and forth.
that's a question because you had campaign signs that warned of bankruptcy if you and Trustee Imbriani weren't elected. What was the basis of that warning if there aren't any delinquencies or debts? That's the question you don't have to answer. Mr. Imbriani, you moved away 40 plus years ago. Since you came back, how many new warehouses were built in the village? You know? No? Okay. Did either of you campaign on delivering 500,000 gallons of toilet water from the town to the village? No? I hope you pass more than 3 minutes in public comment, because I could do this all night. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further. Make a motion to.
We can adjourn and then go into attorney-client.
Please, folks, again, no happy Memorial Day.
I'm sorry, can we have some kind of statement about what the discussion will be, not what it will be, but the terms of attorney-client privilege? What are we going to discuss?
The employee handbook. That's what I thought
I
you
just
wanted.
wanted to be clear.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We can discuss whatever we want in attorney-client, but that'll be one of the. Well, let's adjourn and then go to attorney-client.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Second. All in favor?